the battle maiden who is in charge of Valkyrie life and death. Freya Familia is a special family created by this cruel environment. Just like first-tier adventurers, if she isn't dealt with, the faction's coalition forces have no chance of winning. The teachers were all shaking with fear, but the saint spoke quietly with absolute certainty. If this continues. Daphne is also very clear about this understanding. Lily, the other warriors can't be sent there. Already shipped. However, the recovery volume of Goddess Gold is very abnormal. Nothing can surpass it. From the cracks of the swarms of tough warriors, you can dimly see the depths of the field of vision. In addition to Mord and the others being completely wiped out, other warriors also launched attacks, but they still couldn't completely defeat the Cinderellas. The actions of the other healers and pharmacists were also unusual. The warriors were unable to defeat them for a long time. The eyes hanging on her waist faithfully conveyed Lily's anxiety. If you don't stop the full-fledged Cinderellas, no matter how hard you fight, they'll make you invincible. Enemy team members who finally defeated them will now also be revived, as long as Hythe and the others move. Obtain the favor of level promotion. It was not easy, but it will be revived again and again, which is simply a nightmare. She couldn't blame Lily for being incompetent for the surprise attack to end in failure. Since the opponent concealed the auto-heal move, the only effective defeat before using healing magic strategy no longer exists. If Daphne were in Lily's position, she would probably flip the chessboard and take out her anger all over the place. Can you attack all Cinderellas from the right wing? Don't be embarrassing. It's not easy to keep up here. During the chaos, she commanded the troops from the right while deflecting the spear strike with the Fencer Laureate short sword. Level sublimated light particles adhered to the entire body, emitting brightness like a soft moan, barely repelling the enemy. It can be said that there is no time to breathe. Sunlight. Even so, Daphne and the others are still doing well. The others are struggling desperately. Just like Daphne, Cassandra reached level 3 after going through the expedition of the lower floor, and her recovery magic was fully effective, reviving the adventurers who were several times on the brink of collapse. Both sides were tortured by enemy healers and rescued by their own healers. What is cruel is that in the healer duel, the faction and allied forces have no chance of winning. If it's the enemy army's base camp, it would be bad if the wizards went up as well. Once they are included in the range of magic, they will be eliminated. Before that, the complete Cinderellas. Lily's breath stopped instantly, as if she had been strangled by someone on the other side of the crystal. After a moment, Daphne understood what that meant. She stopped in the depths of her vision. Behind the enemy line far ahead, numerous spears of thunder aimed at Daphne and the others. You seem to have misunderstood something. The place is already within my range. Daphne's face was livid. She hallucinated that the white elf couldn't have heard the murmur and realized her guilt. When the battle started, the enemy was very wary of Kratzo's demon sword and didn't hold back. Spacing wrong. In Daphne's eyes, this is the case. But it's not like that. It just didn't attack because the demonic sword of Kroso would spit fire. The main battleground in this area that became the Savage Battle, it was within that first-tier adventurer's firing range from the very beginning. Checkmate, Karis Hilder released. Many rays illuminated the faces of the adventurers who were stunned in place, drew arcs in the air and scattered across the battlefield. The thunder bomb that plunged the battlefield into chaos is itself a vicious army. The running humans were mercilessly shot, the demi-humans were blown up along with the ground beneath their feet, and the Amazon protecting her comrades was paralyzed by the electricity. This ultra-precision shot didn't even touch a single, Freya Familia, adventurer. As a marksman, Fairy Eyes accurately captured every detail of the battlefield, just shooting enemy soldiers and destroying all remaining magic swords. Protect Cassandra. Hearing the sad decision to abandon the maintenance front and prioritize protecting the team's lifeline, Uka and Bors with large shields, as well as the residents of Rivera, made desperate preparations and agreed. In front of Cassandra's line of sight, who was pressed by Chikusa to the ground, countless thunder bombs collided with several shields, raging all around. Pillars and rubble were shattered, shards of stone were thrown into the air, and the battlefield was tragically divided. The exaggerated number of magic swords has greatly decreased. It's time. Accompanied by the crackling magic current, a large amount of smoke dominated the battlefield, and the white elf who single-handedly created such a tragedy coldly declared. True devastation entered the countdown. It's your turn, beast. Go. Can this kind of powerful bombardment be fired from such a distance? It's as over the top as ever. Seeing the battlefield reflected in the mirror, the twin sister Tioni said bitterly. The range easily exceeds 500 m and the range is enough to defeat at least 200 enemy troops. The barrage of thunder that occupies most of the field of view buried in smoke and dust, even if it is the maximum faction of the Loki family, this is also worthy of your fear. White Devil's Staff, Hedin Selland. In terms of effective range, his magic is considered the best in Orario. But isn't Riveria stronger than him? After all, they call you the strongest mage in town. In hand-to-hand combat, I will lose to Hedin. Hearing Riveria's calm analysis, Tiona grudgingly presented her opinion, but the royal family shook her emerald hair and spoke the truth lightly. Riverial Josalf's advantage is the power of magic, as well as many skills that cover attack, defense and support. As a general, defender mage, her skill is so excellent that others cannot compare to her. However, Hedin is a magic swordsman, who is also at the pinnacle of hand-to-hand combat. After all, the reasons for comparing the two are different. With his close combat skills and the rapid-fire ability brought about by his ultra-short corner, he could be considered an ideal target for a senior defender. Not only that, as shown in current wargames, its range and power itself is also greatly exaggerated. Just using magic, an army of tens of thousands of people was destroyed. There were such rumors of the deserted sea, and it is not known whether it is true or not. If there was one word to accurately describe him, it would undoubtedly be magic cannon swordsman. Also, the sheer amount of mental power. Hedin's magic power is undoubtedly stronger than mine. The mental power needed to use magic is strong enough to make the strongest mage in town, Riveria, clearly admit that she wasn't as good as him. The barrage covering every corner of the Grand Army, as well as the calm face that hadn't shed a drop of sweat until now proved that. The Amazon sisters were filled with dissatisfaction and Riveria narrowed her eyes. With the addition of another elf, the two are collectively called the Black and White Knights. Come on, she said. Emerald pupils stared into the depths of the mirror, and the dust that covered the sky was about to dissipate. The sharp slash tore Freya's family apart. Most of the adventurers who belonged to the coalition of factions were pushed back, but Tsubaki carelessly wiped the blood and dust-stained face and was bravely active on the battlefield. Don't be afraid. 3 people can't do this, so 5 people go together. 5 people can't stop this, so 10 people. As long as you buy time, I can take the opportunity to clean them up. Listening to the most advanced blacksmith at LV5, the master shouted, and all the surrounding adventurers were stunned. Here is the central unit. Tsubaki can't conduct a decent command, so she chooses to be a warrior who keeps killing enemies. Although she is a tenacious and tough warrior, she can only kneel in front of her, whose strength has reached the level of a first-tier adventurer. The enemies she had taken down were countless, and around her, several warriors in equipment also fell to the ground. However, it's still too bad. The enemy's momentum hasn't weakened at all. I don't know how many of his comrades have been cut down,